Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and today I got some more news about Toys R Us, and it involves my good friend and yours, Isaac Larian, the CEO of MGA Entertainment, the guy who attempted to purchase Toys R Us at least on two different occasions, one through a crowdfunded campaign that didn't really go anywhere, and again through more traditional means, getting some more investors involved, getting some banks involved, and putting forth a bid, which unfortunately for him and the others involved, was considered to be too low and it was turned down. And then over in Canada, Fairfax Financial Holdings came in and they purchased the Toys R Us stores in Canada. So at least for right now, those stores are safe. But Isaac Larian, he said he was going to be back. He was going to put forth another bid. And apparently he did. And apparently it failed again. So, as of right now, Isaac Larian has decided that he is not going to try to buy Toys R Us anymore. Now, this story that I'm talking about is coming from the LA Times. As usual, I'm going to leave a link in the description to this story. Always got to source your sources, of course, so that you can read it for yourself and get the entire rundown. But I'm going to give you a little summary right now. So, after it was turned down, they got a quote from Larian about basically his feelings about it. And this is what he had to say. Quote, the so-called advisors and lawyers milked that company to death in a matter of 7 months, which is remarkable. And the current lenders are just not in touch with the reality on valuation. Now, of course, the thing that you want to ask yourself is why in the world does he care so much about Toys R Us? And it's really hard to avoid the obvious conflict of interest that he has being the CEO of MGA Entertainment, which I'm always mentioning the Bradstalls. But before I started learning more about Isaac Larian, I had absolutely no idea that his company also produces one of the highest selling, if not the highest selling toy in the country right now, those LOL surprise toys. I had no idea what those things even were, but apparently they are extremely popular. And with the demise of Toys R Us, it is estimated that he is going to lose about 20% of sales from that decline. So as of right now, Isaac Larian has been the only person publicly to actually come out and express an interest in buying Toys R Us, at least to the extent where the media got a hold of it. And also, according to the LA Times, he said, quote, we had a great plan in how to turn around Toys R Us, and I don't want that to go to waste. So, just like a lot of these other stories that involved him recently, there is a slight possibility of a to be continued at the end of this story. Since he has some good retail plans already planned out, I guess that there's always a chance that he can try to open up another toy chain of his own doing and try to use the plans that initially were meant for Toys R Us into making this other toy chain popular. And here's a couple more quotes that Larian gave to the LA Times. He says, quote, I gave it my best to make it happen. I didn't give up until the last minute. I fought the system and what's going down because it's going to hurt the whole toy industry. And I guess a lot of people don't care. He continued by saying, for me, it was a personal thing. Frankly, because I'm 64, I'm well off. I don't need the money. I don't need the fame. I just wanted to make sure we save this legacy for our children and grandchildren and for the whole toy business. And that's kind of a somber way to end this attempt to resurrect and revitalize Toys R Us, at least from his standpoint. But also in this story, there were some other quotes that I thought were really interesting, and it kind of lended credence to why it may not be a good idea for someone to purchase Toys R Us in the first place, and really just has to do with the publicity behind Toys R Us in its dying days. I'm going to absolutely butcher this person's name, but he is a toy industry consultant named Richard Gottlieb. And this is also a quote from the LA Times, and he says, I think the big question is, why would someone need to purchase Toys R Us to get in the game? There will be hundreds of vacant stores and thousands of talented people ready to be recruited and put to work under a new retail brand name that is not tarnished. The quote continues by saying, Toys R Us has burned its bridges with suppliers. It has turned off consumers with its going out of business sales and its failure to honor gift cards and its dismissal of 30,000 employees without a severance package. So that's the kind of negative imagery that's hard to wash away. And the thing that's really keeping us so tied to Toys R Us is really just the nostalgia of it all and the fact that it was the biggest toy chain in the United States of America and in a lot of places in the world as well, but mostly in the United States of America. And we are in that era now where big box retail stores that aren't called Walmart or Target to a lesser extent, but still Target, is becoming something of the past. You know, you have online shopping, and of course you got Amazon eating everybody's lunch, and it's very, very hard to compete. So when you throw in the only major toy chain into that pile of things that didn't quite make it, it's really hard to swallow and it's really hard to get over. But this is just one of those things that, you know, it just happens. Guess it's time for Toys R Us to die, and we'll have to accept it. So at this point, if you ask me, I think that there is a very slim to zero chance that Toys R Us is going to be saved in the United States by anyone or anything. So if you haven't said your goodbyes by now, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and go over to the stores, see if there's anything worth getting. Right now, I think the sales are going on at about 50% off, maybe even 60% off, depending on where you look. And just breathe it in. One last final time, there's going to be some auctions going on where Toys R Us is just going to be auctioning off everything that makes it itself. And after that, it's going to be all over. So that is it. If by some miracle or some reason some more news comes out about Toys R Us that is interesting enough to share with you guys, I'll be sure to let you know, especially if it involves our good friend Isaac Larian, because we can't get enough of that guy. So that's all for now, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll talk to you later.